Baruch Hashem. Imagine if for a millisecond, right, there's a quick, like a divine, cosmic impulse or a thought or a flash or a blitz of genius thought and information that is imparted to you that informs you of the fact that everything in your life is actually going absolutely perfectly according to a very, very perfect system and a working mechanism. Even the complete and total situation that you exist in currently, including the so-called situation of your business life, personal life, health life, etc. What this is and what I'm talking about is, some would refer to it as a communication from the holy breath, or when God speaks to man, or at the same time, we can classify it as being a genius flash of thought, a flash of genius thought and divine inspiration and information coming from a higher source that basically clarifies and informs and guides and also protects and also enlightens, right, what's going on with us in our lives, and also provides like a super high quality form of information that really is coming from the highest source within. Where, for example, one may be looking at one's life situation, as it is also important to regularly evaluate the quality of what's going on, how to improve certain things, and so on and so forth. And as one does this, right, one actually gets something that is known as a higher input, and or what could be classified as, I would call it an immediate, direct, very magnificent, very good, very beautiful, and very helpful, and also very intelligent, right? Very intelligent and an educational and an edifying and an enlightening, like a blitz idea or an understanding of what's going on, or a clarification, a moment of very clear vision and oversight of everything that is right now, and a very high, clear perspective with massive amounts of wisdom encoded in it. That's what actually caused the starting of this vlog. Just now it happened. And then I checked. So, like, having a moment of magical inspiration and illumination, right? All of a sudden. Relatively unexpected. You know, sitting here on a bench in nature, for taking a minute to sort of relax and also think, and then somewhat receptive, all of a sudden there's a blitz of divine information with the most magnificent message. So I'll go into detail for a second. Now, one of the most important things, because listen, if you can pay attention to something like this, it's as if you have the most magnificent form of guidance and instruction and like miraculous assistance in life. It's, in plain English, it's as if God, the thoughts of God are go through your mind for a second, and it's really interesting. It's really good. So what happened was, like I said, I was just sitting here, I'm thinking for a second, and I stop thinking, and then sort of evaluating what's going on, and then a blitz of divine inspiration, a genius cosmic impulse, or like the thought of God arrived very quickly, and it showed me that actually everything is perfect in my life. Wow. The complete total life situation is perfect. And I thought, really? What? Wait a second. Yes, that's correct. So here's what happens. Okay, as a magi or a seer or a master of your life and your destiny, based on the fact that life is also cyclical and that we monitor the cycles of life that we're in, right? And from time to time, we have to stop and look and evaluate, monitor the life cycles, and look at, okay, what are these described as being propitious for? Like, here's the plans. Here's what's on the menu. Here's what it's a time for in our lives. How can we adjust things so that, everything keeps going in a good way, right? From time to time, you're sort of perfecting or recalibrating your operation in life, right? And the best thing that can happen, the most magnificent thing that can happen, is when divine inspiration and communication takes place. For like a millisecond, there's this divine input, and there's some info that comes from the highest source, even from God within, apparently, right? So to say. Where then it's revealed to you how it really is, how everything really is, and how it's the best that it can possibly be. And for a second, it took a moment to actually process that, because you might think, hey, if I'm just swimming in money, I have a castle and a car and all this stuff, wouldn't that be the best thing ever? No. Everything is how it is right now, according to a divine plan that is perfect. And sometimes it will take a certain blitz or a divine inspired thought for a second at a certain time. We're going to get into that for a minute too, because it's important to know what time it is, what life cycles you're in, to also be able to properly, intelligently allocate or put things in their proper place, and to see reality as it really actually technically is. In other words, how to know whether or not you're thinking right is based on having wisdom and a systematic overview and a real-time picture of how reality actually is. Similar to a person, right, who's sailing across the ocean, right, and thinks, okay, I'm going to go on a 12-day journey now. And this person all of a sudden has to check the weather first, and then sees exactly what the weather is like, and then knows what's really going on, how the currents really are, and how to sail, and how he should be sailing or not. I was about to say that it's like when illumination takes place, more than just the basic total illumination around the age of 33 years. Rather, there are also ongoing, occasional moments of total illumination that happen. Moments when you see very clearly, and there's a very positive, intelligent communication that comes from the highest, most intelligent, divine, innermost of the inner, higher self, okay? Or the highest levels of your human consciousness. You got to pay attention to these things. All right, so I was just talking about how, because of what just happened, I started to make a vlog about this now and turn this into an educational format, because this is something that, if we pay attention to these things, makes a massive difference in how good our lives are. I'll explain the following. So I'm going to present two things to you all here for a second, okay? They're very important. Pay close attention, yet also receive it in a relaxed and a receptive way. Basically, what's going on is that everything in life, even right now and all the time, is technically operating according to a perfect system that is plus perfect for eternity. It has to do with how in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, and the Creator geometrized and made everything in creation so that it keeps expanding according to His will, right? In a perfectly beautiful, geometric, systematic way. A large part of this, and the most relevant part of this actually, is the cycles of life and how every human being has a simple overall period of human life of up to 144 years, and a certain soul personality with certain strengths and certain areas that one should aim to progress in, and things one should progress in personal life, business life, health life, and other things one shouldn't, right? And then the simple annual life cycle period of 365 days, right? I'm just going to explain these for a second. Listen in, right? The 365 simple overall period of human life that basically is starting and always starts on your birthday and ends just before your birthday, right? And that's got 7 segments of 52 days where it is specifically perpetuous, or very good for you to accomplish certain things or benefit with certain things and actually prosper with certain things in the areas of business life, personal life, and health life. Okay. And then there's a 3.5 day long lunar unit that constantly alternates between negative and positive. And then there is the 3-hour short lunar unit that basically alternates between double negative, neutral, or double positive. And then finally, there is the daily periods of the cycles of life, whereof there are 7 different ones categorized from A to G, right? And that all are good for specific things, specifically. And there are 7 of these a day. 7 days makes us strong. Okay, look, one absolutely should monitor the life cycles that one is in, preferably every 3 hours of the day during the 6 days of creation, right? During the so-called working days, right? Where creative work goes on. Now, a very important thing to remember, my friends, is this, that, look, everything I'm talking about, self-mastery, monitoring the cycles of life, living wisely, gaining additional wisdom, retaining it, working with it, winning with it, living, working, resting, prospering, right? Living the best possible life, and also the so-called philanthropy, sharing the good with others, right? All this, the complete and total thing is self-mastery, right? And even being able to see through reality, to comprehend reality, how the universe works, the system whereby all life even exists, and also this leading to you actually being able to basically constantly, accurately foresee the future and actually define it and make it a certain way, even in everyday life, because of having a thorough understanding and clear vision through and oversight and insight and high levels of and increasing levels of wisdom about basically natural law, the cycles of life, and how life actually operates. All this and much more, and immense amounts of good, getting better and better, on and on and on, right? All of this is like something where the more wise work you put into it, the more magnificent the benefits, even universally, result from it. Of course, you have to get a basic overview and start simply. Then you become, advanced, and then you become an expert and a master at this. So remember, there are varying degrees and different levels of operational capability as a master, right? There's an advanced level, an expert level, a level of mastery where you're going through the day and you basically can foresee the future reaction to a potential action in the future or even in the present, to the point where you're going through life and you know exactly what the wisest decision to make is that leads to the maximum benefit legitimately as you go. It's like you wake up, you go through the day, you know exactly what's going to happen. If you make this happen, you know what's going to happen to this, and so on and so forth. You can technically foresee the future, right? And even determine the future and your destiny for the good, for the highest good, right? So there are levels to this. Now, at this point though, just get a basic understanding and just listen in to the most simplest presentation that I'm making right now. Because you got to start somewhere, right? So I was talking about how, I'm explaining what happened just now. Had a divine thought, like the most divine and intelligent, illuminating thought for a second that clarified and showed me that my life is actually perfect. Even though I'm looking at a couple different things thinking, oh my goodness. All right, so here's what happens. From time to time this happens, and it's basically the best thing that can happen. Although better things, and it all gets better and better as we go. You'll see. I had a blitz, a divine inspiration that showed me and clarified a lot. Basically clarified to me that my life is perfect. Okay. Now, why is that important? Because, look, it's important because as magi's or seers or as wise men of God, or like as a master, you're monitoring the cycles of life that you're in. Simple overall period, right? Annual life cycle period, long lunar unit, 3.5 days, short lunar unit, 3 hours, daily period of the cycles of life for 3 hours, 25 minutes. You're always monitoring these 9 different cycles, right? As much as possible, paying attention to the description of them so that you know, basically, all right, now it's a time for this, and that. I'm in these life cycles right now. This is what I should be doing. This will be prosperous, and this is not what I should be doing, right? You're always kind of navigating and operating according to a certain intelligent path to move forward on. Now, I have to add that a lot of this and the knowledge of this is in a book called Self-Mastery and Fate with the Cycles of Life. So every day, even the daily periods of the cycles of life, the 7 different ones, we have a description of those that we know that are written in a book. So it's almost like knowing what's on the menu every day, all the time, and it's a combination of about 9 different cycles of life. Like I stated earlier, the longest one being, eternal life, really, and then the simple overall period of human life of 0 to 144 years of this physical existence. Then your soul personality during all of that, right? Certain things that you should, certain things you shouldn't, right? All of this is described in the book, okay? Then the annual life cycle period with the health, business, and personal life cycles in it, right? 365-day annual life cycle period with 7 segments of 52 days, when it's perpetuous or very good for certain things in business, personal, and health life. Okay. Then the 3.5-day long lunar unit that alternates between negative and positive constantly, right? And then the short lunar unit of 3 hours that constantly changes between basically double negative, neutral, or double positive. And then the daily periods of the cycles of life that are 3 hours and 25 minutes in length. There are 7 of these a day. There are 7 different ones. Okay, so you've got these cycles that you're seeking to pay attention to and monitor the ones that you're in, because you're always in a combination of these. So you're monitoring those as much as possible, paying attention to the description of them so that we know, okay, like right now, the daily period is this, the short lunar unit is this, the annual life cycle period is this, the simple overall period is this. Based on knowing the description of the life cycles and knowing the life cycles that you're in and the description of them, right? You always have a certain course of action generally that you should follow that leads to benefit, health, wealth, security, happiness, all these things, right? Similar to, and I'll give you this example, my friends, all of what I'm talking about right now is actually also simply simply represented by a basic example of a farmer with good land, good crops, good seeds, good resources, right? And he plants in the springtime because that's a time for planting, takes care of the plants in spring and summer and autumn because that's a good time for them to grow, right? And then in the autumn, he reaps a massive, good, happy harvest. It's the same thing. You're in time with what it is the time for within the divine system and plan. So you're blessed, right? Now, so we have a technical knowledge of the life cycles. We know what life cycles are in, and we monitor them, and we pay attention to the description of them. Similar to a farmer who, it's springtime, he pays attention, he sees it's springtime, okay, plant my seeds now, right? Okay, getting to be summer, still taking care of things. All right, autumn's coming up, we're gonna harvest soon, okay, a good harvest. It's the same system of operating, same style, same logic, okay? Yet, now, here's the important point in this vlog, and I guarantee you that it will benefit you. Pay attention, I'm almost there, okay? So we have a technical overview of the life cycles we're in. We know the description of the life cycles. So, the decisions we make every day, whether business-wise, personal, health-wise, whatever, we sort of know, okay, here's the life cycles I'm in. Here's the description of them. This is what I should be doing for business these days. This is how I should pay attention to keep my health good these days. And this is what I should do in my personal life and so on, right? So then what happens is, what I'm saying and getting at is that you're always paying attention to how the technical system of the cycles of life works so that you monitor it, like watching the weather, utilizing it, what it's good for, and paying attention to what's coming so that you benefit, right? Well, what happens is that from time to time, the creator, it's almost like the creator steps in and communicates to you, bam, this magnificent illuminating thought for like a millisecond, and everything you were seeking to figure out is clearly revealed to you. And that's what just happened. So what I'm saying is that as a master of your life and destiny, as a magi, as a seer, right? As a master, you're paying attention to the details of the cycles of life, and you're monitoring the cycles of life that you're in. Like, this is a real thing. I got the lunar unit, both short and long, on the radar. Got the daily period monitored, right? I know what annual life cycle period I'm in, what it's good for business, for this time. It's like you're paying attention to the times that you're in and what they're good for, and utilizing them what they're good for. Utilizing them for what they're good for, right? So as to prosper. Same thing like the farmer, using the weather, spring for planting, summer for taking care of it, autumn for harvesting it. The same system, okay? Now, so what I'm saying is you do your best to wisely operate. And what happens is, from time to time, and it's a good thing, it's the best thing that can happen to you, where all of a sudden there's a super high divine, higher logical input or a revelation or an illuminating thought that could be classified as God communicating directly to you and even showing you exactly and helping you, and then also revealing a lot to you about how things really are. Now, listen, as good as this is, there's another extremely important point that has to be regarded together with all of this. Let's say you're operating as a magi. You're wisely, circumspectly monitoring the cycles of life, paying attention to the description of them, life cycles that you're in, and utilizing them what they're good for. You're doing the best you can, right? And then the Creator steps in and illuminates you with further knowledge and wisdom and gives you like a total illuminated moment where all of a sudden you see exactly what's really happening and how things really are. As if God is like lighting up the place and showing you with the master wisdom, the highest levels of wisdom for a second. And you keep that. And everything is expedited. It's all, how do I say, like a person trying to figure out a mathematical equation, and then the master of all mathematicians steps in and shows you for a second how it's done and what it is and the results. Bam. And like gives illuminating wisdom, okay? All illuminating wisdom for a second. And it's sufficient, and it keeps coming though. This as grand, as magnificent as it is, and it's a real thing, also, as with everything in our lives, must also be evaluated with wisdom before being so-called automatically accepted or put into action. So what I'm saying is that even divine revelation, when it comes, has to be like received. So actually what happens is it just gets received. You have this illuminating blitz of a divine genius idea or a revelation about something, or how your life is, or what's going on, or something you were investigating is revealed to you from a divine source, right? That will just arrive. Now, then, it's almost puzzling for a second, because you think, really, that's how it is? Okay, that's great. That's really how it is. I thought it was a little, no, I was sort of thinking it's like that. That's actually how it is. Wow. Wow. Okay. Well, what happens is that even such a revelation or a magnificent illuminating thought, that, it also has to be evaluated with wisdom. And that also just happened too. I had this blitz, divine genius inspiration. I thought, okay. Then I looked at my level of, I utilize like the level of knowledge that I have. And I looked at the life cycles that I'm in right now, and I realized that's interesting. That's true. There's a combination. There's an ideal combination of what could be classified as almost like a life situation, where the interaction that I have with different people right now, in business life, personal life, health life, etc., is actually ideal. What I'm saying is that divine inspiration and intelligent communication and guidance and instruction and so on, basically like informed me that actually my life is going perfectly. It's very good, and it's actually super good. And then I looked at that technically from my knowledge of the cycles of life and the ones that I'm in and what they're good for, and I realized that's correct. So it's almost like you're mapping it out, moving according to a wise path, and then you sort of know where what goes and where to go and where it's the best to go, and you're headed that way. And then the Creator shows you, like from a sky, from an eagle point of view, shows you, you're actually right here, and this is actually as good as it gets. And then you wait, like, hold on, really? Yeah? Yeah, because, right, I was, yeah, right. You see this goes here, I'm actually right here, this is perfect. So yeah, you have to be circumspect though, and have wisdom and analyze everything with wisdom too, because look, a divine revelation is legitimate, yet everything is subject to God's wisdom. So you have to also analyze and evaluate things with God's wisdom. Like I said, that's what I just did. It seems like it was evaluated for me, because I had this genius sense of knowing that actually everything in my life is perfect. And I thought, wow. Then I noticed, yes, that's correct. You're in a perfect position in your life. Even the people you associate and cooperate with right now is perfect, because there's a perfect life cycle you're in right now, and the next one that's coming, it's already launched. So what I'm getting at is that, remember, the life cycles, they overlap too. Every annual life cycle period of 52 days, right? There's seven annual life cycle periods of 52 days in your 365-day or annual, like 1 year life cycle period that's always starts on your birthday, ends just before. Starts on your birthday, ends just before, starts on your birthday, right? Remember that the life cycles overlap too. So even while you're in the middle of one of 7 annual life cycle periods, there is already an overlapping occurring. What's very, very intricate and very interesting is how the life cycles, how they intertwine and overlap, resulting in the current state or the life cycles that you're in right now, and the actual way that your life is, where you see that it's like one providence leading into another, right? So, like, look, if you look at the annual life cycle period of 365 days, every person has one. It starts on your birthday. It has 7 segments of 52 days, wherein it's particularly good for certain things in business life, personal life, health life, right? Well, the life cycles, though there are 7 of them that are 52 days long, basically, they don't just abruptly start, go on for 52 days, then abruptly stop. No, they overlap a little bit. Because, listen, you look at the annual life cycle period that we have as human beings, like I said, starts on your birthday, goes for 365 days, is made up of 7 segments of 52 days, right? Now, these 7 segments, they're not like chopped off blocks, just like squarely separated. There's an overlapping, especially during the first 2 days of each period, and after the 2 days after each period, there's an overlap. You have to wait you have to wait a certain time when one 52-day annual life cycle period ends. Wait about 2 days for the next 52-day one to begin, right? So that it's fully ended and and the new one is fully begun, for example. Yet, there's also an overlapping. What I'm getting at is that we actually are able to have more and more absolutely intricate and magnificent insight and clear vision into almost like having a technical map or a technical explanation, almost like having something like the building plans, also like the plans, or having a map of how the universe works and everything works and why everything is how it is, like having that on paper, and that describes what's going on in the universe. And then seeing the difference between having like a technical diagram of how everything works, like a technical, like a map and a systematic, like a technical drawing of how the universe works in the form of knowledge and information written in a book, right? And then that giving the technical knowledge to you of how everything here in this universe works. Remember, there's 2 different perspectives that you're usually holding as a master or as a magi. Almost very similar to a person who's a captain of a ship or a chief navigational officer. He's on the bridge. He's got a map on the table, shows him where everything is, where to go. He's got the weather. He's got all these, got all this information laid out on the table, on the computers, on the monitors, the weather, the where you are, the GPS, all that stuff. While out here, though, the real world, so to say, is around him, and the maps he's got on the table, the data, the computers, the monitors are showing him how the weather is. That's outside, right? That's outside. That's out here. So the technical knowledge, and that explaining how everything out here works, right? There's a very, very important contrast between the two. So almost like a person standing out in the real world, looking out at the real world with the following. It's almost like a person standing somewhere in nature and also having a map in their hand and knowing exactly where they stand. While they look out at nature, you know exactly where you are on the map and how it works and how it's structured and where what is and so on and so forth. So the contrast between the two is very important because that's where additional knowledge, so like the difference between your own level of wisdom and capability to wisely calculate, operate, live, work, and rest, and the additional divine wisdom and guidance and inspiration. The meeting point of those two, the intersection of those two, is the best and the most important thing to pay attention to, almost like being somebody in a classroom or in a workshop doing something technically with a certain level of knowledge to the best of your ability, and then the master teacher from time to time gives a guiding hand. and there's an upgrade, right? So one has to pay attention to divine inspiration and illumination when it happens, yet also analyze it with wisdom. What happens then is that additional wisdom is gained. So basically we keep getting wiser and wiser to the point where sometimes I think to myself, wow, Baruch Hashem, blessed be the name. Wow, hallelujah, that is so magnificent. Is this really real? Yes, it's really real. It's just as real as that, you have daytime, nighttime, negative, positive, male, female, high tide, low tide. It's the same system at work, just getting more and more and more intricate and detailed and real insights into it all. It becomes absolutely, positively terrible or astonishing. We could even say that it is the most magnificent thing to behold and to comprehend in the mind's eye and with one's intelligence and so on and so forth. Like, what I'm talking about is like being able to know everything there is to know about yourself, your life, how it really is, and how it can be and should be the best, and how to move forward. And like, you basically have the highest levels of knowledge and wisdom on an increasing scale about everything, thus resulting in your ability to actually have the most magnificent life, right? With the ability to accomplish very good things for yourself and others and so on and so forth. And you could imagine this as being like somebody who, like, you investigate things that are the hidden things, and they become revealed to you, and you see clearly those things. You see those things clearly, that are the most magnificent and hidden things, and that actually are true, and that give way, and the mechanism that gives way to reality and how it works, and even how life works to increasingly high levels. So what happens is, okay, how do I explain this? It's like, I'm standing here, I know exactly, like, I can go through the day, and as I go through the day, first of all, based on what I'm doing at the moment, I know what the best or the wisest thing is to be actively creating at the moment, or doing, or not doing. To the point where then I know what will result in the action that I take. Now, this is no different than a farmer who, look, it's the same logic, right? He knows the weather pattern where he lives. He's done it before. He knows that if he plants in the spring, these seeds will sprout, grow into trees, takes care of the trees, harvests them in autumn. Because of knowing natural law, you know what will become of what you are making right now. It's actually that simple. Now, to be able to actually predict the future it's not as mysterious of a thing as it's been sort of presented to us in like popular culture. Did you know that, like, to predict the future is not very difficult. It's based on a knowledge of natural law and a thorough understanding of how the polarities in nature and in life and in earth, human and life activity in the heavens and the earth plane system and the universe around us and the world around us, the environment around us, actually works in terms of action and reaction, either positive or negative included, based on knowing what polarities exist in the universe and the world around us at certain times. Almost like, the easiest way to understand this would be like saying, okay, look, so we know that for 12 hours it's going to be bright and sunny today during the day. We know for a fact too that it's going to be dark hours for 12 hours of the day. Because that's always like that, and we've identified that there's a system that makes it that way, that sunlight, daylight, darkness, dark hours, right? we know that this is like a natural law and it works this way. We can basically say, it's like you can predict and say, okay, look, if we go walking in the forest where there's obstacles, pitfalls, sticks, jagged edges, whatever, it's better to go for a walk during the daytime, and we'll be able to see a lot more if we go walk around during the daytime than in the darkness. It's the exact same system, logic, and understanding at work. Some of you may be surprised to hear that I'm telling you that to be able to predict the future is that simple, yet it's actually the case. I know so because I do so on a regular and a daily basis, and it works very good, and so should you. Like, for example, if you know what life cycles you're in, if you know what daily periods of the cycles of life you're in, if you know the description of the life cycles that you're in, you know what they're good for, you know what they're not good for, you know what the lunar units are based on having a knowledge of the time and dates of either the new moon or the full moon, and or also simultaneously the tide cycles or the tidal potential. Basically, like, you know, you can technically foresee the